We see bad calls on the field all the time, including a litany of examples I've detailed personally over the last couple months, and these certainly each had the potential to be highly consequential, but they often don't directly lead to 2 runs in the moment that they're made, right? That's actually hard to do on a single call, but funny enough, that's exactly what we just saw in a game between the Rockies and Dodgers, when Colorado, who's already struggling like few teams ever have before, got absolutely screwed by that night's crew. But let's set the stage before we get there. Young righty Chase Dollander is on the mound facing off against LA's star-studded lineup that includes multiple Hall of Famers, and probably a couple Hall of Pretty Good players as well. Comment below if you get that reference. And to make matters worse, Chase himself had struggled up to this point, with an ERA over 6 during his rookie campaign. But in this contest, for the first 5 innings, he was seemingly impossible to barrel up, as despite only striking out 1 batter, he hadn't given up a run to this point. Opposing him was Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who's actually one of those players I briefly referenced before who got screwed by a bad call, and like I mentioned at the end of that video, he also hasn't gotten any real run support through the first half of the season. And the same trend would continue in this game, being that he was just as good as advertised, striking out 6 hitters through 5 innings while only giving up 2 base runners, while also receiving 0 runs in support through the game's first half. This takes us to the top of the 6th inning, when Dollander first walked Dalton Rushing on a 3-2 fastball, then gave up a first pitch knock to Shohei Ohtani. All of a sudden, there were 2 guys on with nobody out, which you'd think would be major trouble, but Mookie Betts would fly out to left field before Freddie Freeman grounded a ball to first base, a play that usually gets turned into a DP, but because Michael Toglia bobbled it briefly, they had to settle for an out at first. This meant that they were 1 out away from getting out of the frame completely. It was at this point any rain that had been coming down seemed to get multiplied by 1,000 during Max Muncy's at-bat, with the Colorado coaching staff repeatedly asking if the weather was too much to keep playing in. And just look at this downpour, they were 100% in the right here. But regardless, the umpiring crew for some reason said play on, probably hoping the inning would end and they'd get to start fresh from the delay in the bottom of the 6th. And this ended up backfiring in a major way, as on a 3-2 pitch, Muncy would pop a ball on the infield. But because nobody could see it due to the amount of rain coming down, it ended up almost plunking Toglia in the head as it sailed down from the heavens. To me, it's just embarrassing. There's no way you should be expected to track pop-ups in weather like that. But here's where it gets especially insulting. They literally suspended play immediately after this. Like, right after this. Why not have done it earlier when it got really bad? It is 100% a normal thing to do to suspend play mid-at-bat if players can't see anymore, for safety reasons if nothing else. You can see Dollander's reaction here as well coming off the field. He was justifiably furious. This not only led to those 2 runs scoring for LA, but it also set up the Dodgers for another run when both teams came back to play, as Jake Bird would give up a flare single to Andy Pages to make it 3-0. There would be no redeeming the game for Colorado, as they would go on to give up a grand slam to Muncy in the top of the 7th, then a moonshot to struggling veteran Michael Conforto in the 8th, eventually losing this one by a final score of 8-1 after a 1-2-3 ninth, dropping the record to 18-62 through the season's first 80 games. Now, thank you so much for watching, and please remember that if you ever see anything you'd like to see detailed in the Made the Cut video, whether that be a specific play, player, or narrative surrounding a team or something, feel free to reach out to my email, basebpoet@gmail.com, and if I do end up using your idea, I'll of course give you a shout out. Thank you so much once again, and I'll see you in the next one.